Hello, everybody. We've reached double figures. SC Playbook, the EPL edition. Game week 10 coming up. We are, well, almost a quarter of the way through the season. Really is a long one. You don't realise till you're sitting here doing these every week. We're very fortunate to be doing so. We've got Matt Jurman, the former Socceroo, with us back in the studio, fresh off a win on Monday night. MacArthur Mondays getting off to a flying start in 2025-26, Matty. Welcome.
It was good. Yeah, good to get a win. Good to get 90 minutes under the belt as well. And, start the season now with a couple of different results. But go into a big game on Saturday against the Wanderers now. So looking forward to it.
Little local derby down there. There were really good scenes out there last year from memory with them bringing that big crowd and the MacArthur public got around. It was fantastic towards the end of last season from memory.
Yeah, last season, Saturday night as well. So
helps.
No one should be complaining about the time or the day. So it's a good time and good time for a derby as well.
Get down to Lumia train station nice and early and make your way across there. Looking forward to that on Saturday night. We will watch that. I'm glad you got that win because in the battle between us in the head-to-head league, I got the chockies. It's about the only thing I've got over you this season, mate. So I hope you don't mind me taking the plaudits on that with a record high score, not really, of 92. We'll talk about some of the trades we both made during the week that, Look, I hit on one of them, the other one less so. But a very warm welcome to you. Thank you for giving us your company again. The SC Playbook League is still open, so you can still go and enter that. There's $1,000 up for first prize as a late entrant. And to become a subscriber and be able to get that $1,000, you can join the SC Playbook community for just $2 a week, less than your daily cup of coffee. The NBA in full swing now, NFL as well. Big Bash Cricket on the horizon. You can get all of those branches of Supercoach, deep dive articles, team news updates, contributor chat groups on the WhatsApp, which have been going bananas over the weekend again, and that all costs just $2. So head to scplaybook.com.au, hit subscribe in the menu, and you get access to that entire community. Let's run through some of the trades from the week very quickly, Matty. What worked, what didn't? I think the big headliner is that guy, Micky and his 37 points on the week that he was the most traded out player in the game. What a slap in the face of everybody and sort of just a nice little reminder of the games that Supercoach can play with your mind over the course of a season.
Yeah, I think this goes to show that you can't always look at the break-evens and, you just got to think about if you're going to keep the player long term, he doesn't lose the cash that he might lose in that next game. So, to me and everyone else that's sold him, too bad. But, we go again. And, any Tottenham fans, I'm sure they'll be happy as well.
Yes, very much so. Why wouldn't they be? Fantastic.
Close,
Just get that microphone adjusted for you, Matty. Big performance against Everton. Obviously gets the goals. So down to a minus 12 break even this week, funnily enough, after so many traded him out because of that. His 3-week average sits at 14.3. The 5-week is 10. What I will say, without that 37, without that big explosion, 4.0 was the average for 3 weeks prior. So, I cannot sit here and honestly tell you with the run they've got coming up, Chelsea at home, United at home, Arsenal away, Fulham at home, and with the record as the third best away side in the competition, the North London derby, their only away fixture to come, and the 17th best team at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium so far this season. So I'm not exactly, although this week hurts, I'm not sitting here telling anyone to bring him back in. And we'll get to the most traded in. Some have made that move already. I would be very, very cautious turning straight back to Micky van der Ven on the back of one performance. But you did have a couple of the guys up the back. You went back to that back five this week, Matty. Yeah. I'm looking at Gabi's team here. Senesi getting here at 10, Gabriella 14, Cucurella, Munoz, James missing out slightly. How are you feeling about that treble back there? Or that trio, I should say. Yeah,
I mean, I brought James in, obviously, to make that money that he's still going to be making for me.
Six does that, yep.
And then, obviously, the other three, they've done well for me. Two actually. The three didn't do as well, but I'm happy with that. I can hold them and happily, let them sort of do their thing in the next few games. Crystal Palace, they would be unlucky as well. Yeah. had a few chances to score, but playing against Arsenal, we weren't expecting too much anyway. And then, Chelsea, obviously, a big upset at home as well. Wasn't expecting that. I thought those two defenders were going to go high. Cucurella almost scored as well.
Yes.
But it's okay. I can handle that for 1 week.
Turn on those moments. We've talked about how important Chelsea assets are at this stage in the season, and you did go for the trade of Ugachukwu. I've got his name nailed down this week.
Yeah.
Can you talk us to the thinking behind that? Is it just the quick little build of cash, or are you higher on Burnley as a whole at the moment?
Nah, just honestly, just a quick cash grab.
Okay.
You won't be staying in my team much longer. But I know it's not good to waste trades, but in that respect, I just sort of needed to bring someone in who's going to make some money and flick him off to someone else in the next week or two.
Yeah, don't mind that. Don't mind that at all. For me this week, Petrovic keeping a clean sheet was very helpful from a Bournemouth perspective. Kulindisi, Hartman. I'm loving some of these Burnley assets. We're going to get into them in a little bit of time. The Bruno Guimaraes trade comes off beautifully with that 90th minute goal, 17. I just thought he was due. Watching him the last couple of weeks and the way that Newcastle have been playing, he's been so central to it all. A 10 for Declan Rice. Haaland missing out this week. Both of us captaining him, he's been an automatic. I think we can forgive him that 1 week out. And Salah, you moved for the trade out last week. I'm thinking about it this week, but a little less so. I mean, the underlying statistics are a little bit better this week, but still 2 big moments I thought just shouted that it's not quite the same Mo Salah. He has one opportunity to break where he takes a touch too many, and then that curled effort or lack of curled effort that almost ends up out for a throw-in. It's just so un-Salah-like. So you've moved to Mateta up front. I was interested you moved this week, I have to say, because of that matchup against Arsenal, but you were so out on Salah before me.
Yeah, I think also the price changes as well. You sort of, I think it went up 2 mil just from that. So I moved on Salah, and I was watching the Liverpool game thinking, I've made a great decision here. He hasn't scored until I think it was like 89th minute, 88th minute. He went and put one top corner with his right foot. So, dampened me a little bit, the spirits. But I think watching that game sort of made me think that I've made the right choice because he just doesn't look 100%. Yeah.
The goal saving him a little bit there. We'll get into some more big options, popular options through the competition. The big one this week, the headliner, is Brian Mbeumo, who's become the competition and the game's form player. 4th top scorer out of the strikers now, a 3-week average of 16.3, most traded in this week at 10.75 mil. The only question is, how on earth do you restructure your team to get him in? Because at the moment, unless you are holding Haaland and thinking an early trade, which I don't think too many are, someone sent it into the WhatsApp chat this week, and I was raising my eyebrows at that. It was quickly shot down by some others in the community, but we are in there having a look at all of that. The only other player I can think that people might be moving on is Antoine Semenyo, given the fact he's playing less of a central role for Bournemouth now. That's one that makes sense. Otherwise, you're looking at giving up probably 2 trades to get him in and downgrading through your midfield, which we talked quite a bit about last week. Yep. Interesting to see how many people take that up. I'm not in a position to just yet, but it's one of those things that if you jump on now, he could just continue to give you that ride for the next month or so.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that Haaland trade, it's one of those ones that can literally get you all
That's
the way.
That's a make or break for your season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those ones that can really change your season for the better or for the worse, you know. So, I mean, I don't mind the gamble if you're really confident in him not scoring against Bournemouth, Liverpool and Newcastle in the next 3 games. Well, you know, potentially there's a chance that might not happen, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpool's not in form, so you can't really think that he's...
he's not an automatic at the moment, is he, by any stretch?
Yeah. But, it's interesting thought, and I think, it gave people to something to think about, especially with the amount of money that you can make on a trade from Haaland to someone like Mbeumo, who's in form, and I think from memory, Man United have a good a few games coming up.
They certainly do. So let's have a look down there. Nottingham Forest at the City Ground this weekend. Then they go away to Tottenham, back at home against Everton, and then Palace away, West Ham at home. So that is a tidy little run. Yeah. If they can continue their form whatsoever, then he's going to be a big part of that. I think started the season really promisingly. Yep. Like there was a lot of moments in the early Man United performances where you go, okay, this guy is getting into attacking areas. Some of the stats were not too bad from a fantasy sense in terms of sort of averaging around shot on target every other week. He obviously had 3 on the weekend, which just underlined that score a little bit more. And the key passes stat is the one that really looks promising to me. Had 1, 2, 3 the first 3 weeks against Arsenal, Fulham and Burnley, and then has gone 2 against Brentford, 1 against Sunderland, 1 against Liverpool, 1 against Brighton, which is just a consistency of output in the attacking sense. And he's added crosses into his game as well. A couple of them, 2 successful dribbles he's scoring for on the weekend as well. So that's a base stat. If I can do the maths very quickly, without the goals, he's still getting you around that sort of 7-8 mark. So even a miss at the moment for Brian Mbeumo is scoring you solidly, certainly more so than a Salah or a Joao Pedro, for example, which springs to mind because he's in my team at the moment. And, I think you've listed it, Matty. With that run, Manchester United are looking at vastly improved. I just want to ask you about the setup of their team. I think now that we've got to this stage in the season, Ruben Amorim has got the front 3 that he sort of set out to start with when he made the signing of Sesko. When Mateus Cunha came back, he's obviously had that little injury niggle at the start of the season, but I thought he provided a balance to their attack on the weekend that hasn't been there to this stage.
Yeah, I think Cunha he's a great player. I enjoy watching him play when he's at Wolves. Hasn't hit his straps, as well as he would have liked. Coming to a big club like Man United, it's a big transfer for him. And maybe now that's when they start hitting their form. They're starting to get used to playing with each other, and the players that were already there, they're getting used to playing with these new guys, which is it's quite important. You can see complete contrast to how Liverpool's gone with their new signings. So maybe it's a good time to invest in Man United players. And I wouldn't think I would be saying that maybe 3-4 weeks ago, but their form is actually pretty good at the moment. And the players that they've brought in, they're starting to do well. So
just looking at those exact trades that people are pulling to bring in Mbeumo, Tiani Reinders is the most traded out player in the game this week. So he's part of, again, as I was saying, a lot of people rejigging their midfield to try and get Mbeumo in. Reinders is one of them. Gravenberch with that injury is another option. And then Semenyo is the most traded like-for-like option, if you like. So there's a couple moving from Caicedo to Mbeumo as well. I'm not sure that I'd be moving out the Ecuadorian at this stage, but just a bit of food for thought for us there as well. As I get back to our rundown quickly, here we go. We've talked about Van der Ven already. I just want to get your thoughts on some of the changing perceptions of the promoted teams, because Sunderland are remarkably up in the top 4. They've got a difficult run of games to go. Their draw has played into that, but Leeds as well, playing well, particularly at home. And Burnley, those touted players at the start of the season that were going to be part of this solid defence, that's actually stood up this season. We've obviously seen the last 2 years the promoted teams go straight back down, which was lending people to stay away from these players. Is there anyone, I've got a couple listed here that I'm keen to go through with you. Is there anyone particularly that you are looking at from those teams and going, that might be a legitimate option as you maybe rejig the midfield or look further back with some of those defenders that aren't delivering at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the promoted teams have done really well, and it's a bit of a surprise, but at the same time, maybe these teams are coming with confidence now, and especially beating Chelsea at their home ground.
Massive win.
Huge win. I didn't realise where they were on the table until after that game. I went and checked and saw them third at the time, and I think definitely some of their players are definitely options, but no one that I'm really sort of liking as much as especially with the upcoming fixtures of some of the teams. I don't know. For me, it's sort of I'm sort of staying away from some of those teams because I feel like they can always hit a bad patch, and they sort of start creeping down the table a bit as well.
So Sunderland are a really interesting one because I don't really have any that you look at and go, oh, that's value. Like Robin Ruffs is there as I think they're most owned at the moment in terms of being a goalkeeper. Lowest break even this week is Nordi Mukiele, who's playing at the back and has been part of that with a -3. Everybody else is going to have to score positively against Everton, which I've no doubt they do. Dan Ballard was a popular trade-in at one stage during the season. He's still sitting around that 7.1 mil. Chemston Tybie's an interesting one. Hasn't been a regular Talby, not been a regular starter. He's a forward under 4 mil. I guess if you're looking really left of field, the ones that do interest me more are Burnley, because we've talked about some of their players a little more regularly over the course of the season, not least Kyle Walker. I've been harping on about Quindalicia Hartman all season. He's been a fantastic hold for me to this point, coming into this game against Arsenal with a -5 break even. Maxime Esteve is back down at 4.3 mil after they had that little run of games where they were conceding goals. And
2 goals, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So, but he's now back in a position where I think he's a little bit of value, and obviously Ugochukwu, who we talked about last week. So they're the ones that are a little bit more interesting. Kyle Walker, I was keen to very much stay away from him at the start of the season. Funnily enough, looking at Garby's team, he's still got him in there. And he's averaging up around the 7s at the moment in terms of a player at the back that's coming in there with a price of 5.4 mil at the moment and a break even of -10 going into the weekend. So that'll be interesting to watch. And Zian Fleming, a -13 forward at 5.1 mil. So again, someone you're probably looking to bring in, and maybe not the position to do that. But there are a couple of intriguing options for me from a Burnley sense, certainly.
Yeah, 2 nice goals on the weekend from Fleming. Was nice finishes. He was in the box. He looks confident. Yep. I guess if I was going to invest in anyone, I don't mind some of the centre-back options. Rode on at Leeds, sorry.
Yes.
And he didn't play on the weekend for Sunderland. Alderete, I think his name is.
Alderete.
I think he had concussion or something like that. He was out, but here's another one that I didn't mind watching, and I think he's sort of picking up those points when he does play as well, So the centre backs always pretty well in the scoring.
Yes, at the moment with these defensive records, and that's something you can. I don't know. Once you are a set team, you don't. It's not a team with a lot of talent that's got to keep that consistent. Once those principles are down, and you can probably speak to this better than me. Yeah. That's not something that's going to change over the course of the season, unless you have injuries ravage your side. A lot of these guys have been around for a fair while, are good professionals, so they should be able to hold that down. Alderete, you mentioned, just the 10.9 mil to get him in at the back. So that's another expensive option for a team lower down the table, but I thought it would just be good to talk through a couple of these. Jaden Anthony's another one at Burnley who's making a bit, and we talked quickly before we came on about Aronson at Leeds, 5.6 mil. Is coming off a very good performance on the weekend through midfield, and that's a place where you can pick up players for a bit of value at the moment, because at the moment they're just not scoring as highly as the guys up front and at the back.
Yeah, I agree. I think with the midfielders you can take a bit of a risk and sort of see, like you did last week. Similar with Bruno. Those type of players between under 10 mil. Probably between 5 and 10 mil, you can get a lot of different options at different teams. And if you get them with a good fixture and they score well, they can definitely make some money, and then you can trade them to someone that you want to keep long term. So they're the ones that you've got to try and find. It's just picking the right one at the right time.
Out of the bargain bin, eh?
Yeah, and in those promoted teams, there's a few, but you just got to try and hit the right fixtures at the right time. So. I don't know, but for me, I'm sort of staying clear of those ones.
Okay. From my perspective, if you are going for one of them, just looking at fixtures, more than anything, Leeds are the ones to target. Brighton away, Forest away, Villa at home. I know Villa have improved, and we'll speak about them quickly in a moment, and then you're getting into City and Chelsea. Whereas Burnley have got Arsenal at home this week, West Ham away, Chelsea at home, Brentford away, challenging run of fixtures apart from that game against West Ham, and Sunderland, Everton at home, Arsenal away, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home. Again, a solid run of fixtures, but having knocked off Chelsea last week, who knows what's possible for the Black Cats at the moment. I think that takes us nicely into the next thing I want to touch on just quickly. The teams you are absolutely avoiding at all costs at the moment. Basically, your relegation threatened clubs at the moment. I think West Ham are top of that list.
West Ham and Wolves.
West Ham and Wolves just look completely devoid of confidence at the moment. And yeah, I can't see where the goals are coming from, where the clean sheets are coming from. I think Nottingham Forest are going to be an interesting watch in that scenario as well. We've just listed the bottom three, but even them, given the fact that they've, what should I say, changed managers twice, brought in Nuno, and obviously not stuck with him. The Ange experiment was a complete debacle. Sean Dyche, any confidence in Sean Dyche being able to turn them around over this next I think we've got 2 more weeks before the international break.
Yeah, I mean, I see. Dyche's coming. He's going to take a little while to get his style of play. Probably not too much because it was very similar to Nuno, but different to way Ange wanted to play, obviously. Nottingham, who they got?
Man United at home this weekend.
Man United at home. I mean, the way the Man United's been going, you'd expect them to win, but these are top of the games where you see Nottingham
drop,
Forest,
right?
1-0 win or something like that, So, Nottingham's got some good players, So, and they've lost a lot of money in terms of Supercoach. So, you could pick up a bargain there with some of their midfielders.
Linkovic is the one that I always look at and go, he's a better player than he's showing at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. And you got even Chris Wood. The amount of goals he scored last year. I don't think he even came on last week, which is disappointing for him. He was the captain as well. So there's some of these guys that you can sort of look at and maybe take a risk with. But I think Nottingham will be up and down in terms of results because the way that Dyche likes to play he's sort of back to the wall sort of thing and get him on the break, and it doesn't work for every game. So they'll pick up results here and there, but I can't see him going on a good run.
One I just want to touch on before we get to some of the most traded in and traded out this week is someone we're both holding on to in Josh King. Fulham have hit an absolute stinking run of form. They're just one outside of the relegation race at the moment, and Emil Smith-Rowe took King's position in the starting lineup for the first time. I think we spoke about him right at the start of the year and how overweight he looked coming back into camp.
Not good.
But he hasn't started in the Carabao Cup, and now they're saying that he's likely to miss this week against Wolves. So if you are a Josh King holder at the moment, don't jump too quickly. The opposition at home, if there's a week he's going to be scoring, this is it. So just keep an eye on that with some of your players that aren't producing at the moment. Then they go Everton away at the Hill Dickinson, Sunderland back at home at Craven Cottage, and then Spurs away. So there's a run of 4 games there that he just might get a crack at, Josh King, and create a little bit of value before you get rid of him. And I think that just about does it for the players I wanted to touch on. Let's get into this table of the most traded in this week. We've spoken about Brian Mbeumo and Micky van der Ven. Dominic Szoboszlai is coming back into people's thinking at 8.6. Averaging 9 this season, is playing in this weird role for Liverpool, where he's been started as a right back. He was back in the heart of midfield on the weekends. What are your thoughts about this guy? Because he's a fantastic striker of a ball, can score points when he's in form. I just wonder about how all that changing in positioning is affecting his output this season.
I think from a Liverpool perspective, he's been one of the most consistent players, regardless of if he's playing right back or midfielder. He's scoring goals as well. He's got a great strike of the ball. The way he hits it, it's very different to a lot of the way a lot of other players strike the ball. And I think people bringing him in, I can sort of understand why. He's been playing most minutes. He doesn't really drop out too much. Coming up against Aston Villa, Man City, and Nottingham, it's a bit of a
tricky run.
Yeah, it's a tricky sort of few games. You just don't know what Liverpool team's going to turn up as well. So, but in terms of base stats now, I can see him sort of. It hasn't been too bad. Like he's been up and down a little bit, but mainly up. Instead of being down, but he scored 18 last week against Brentford, and he's quite in form for a Liverpool team that hasn't been in form. So, I can understand why people were bringing him in. Yeah,
starting to tot up those key passes, getting into crossing positions when he is playing at fullback at least, I think is probably the sort of thing you can take some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of comfort in if you are bringing him in and just doubting whether that's going to affect his scores somewhat. Just looking at this, Crystal Palace at a 9, Chelsea a 4, United an 8, and then obviously that big explosion against Brentford with some decent underlying stats. You've pointed that out, Matty, that he's still scoring even without those big explosions in terms of assists and goals. So, the draw is the biggest thing for Liverpool at the moment, and their form is just not reliable. What's changed there? Is it just the fact that the players they brought in have not quite turned into the level of player they thought they would, and take a bit of time to adjust? We've talked a little bit about the partnership or lack of one between Isak and Salah. We've seen Szoboszlai actually shoulder a lot of the responsibility while those guys have been gone. And I pick up your thoughts on Florian Wirtz as well and his whole how he fits into this equation as well.
I think it's a bit of everything, right? Yeah. There's lots that's happened at the club in the last 6 to 12 months. Losing someone like Alexander Arnold's got a effect. I think he's got a big effect on why Salah's form's dropped as well.
Yeah.
Bradley's a good player, but he's not an Alexander Arnold. Yeah, he's not an Alexander Arnold. The way he can pass the ball and find players is just pretty incredible. So, I mean, Liverpool losing that, it's definitely had a big issue with the team. But even the players that have been there last year, like their sort of form has been dropped as well. Some of the defending hasn't been there as well from players that they usually don't make those mistakes. Alisson sort of been in and out of the team as well with injuries. He's a big player for Liverpool. Obviously, the keeper's come in and done well, the Georgian fella, but he's a bit of change all over the team. I think obviously Florian Wirtz, massive transfer, big money on top of his head, and hasn't hit the ground as well as he wanted to. But you can see he's got those passes and that attacking mindset that he has. He finds things that some players maybe aren't seeing or they're just not used to playing with him yet. And I think you got to give players like that a bit of time to sort of it's a whole different league. It's a different team that he's playing in, and sometimes it takes a bit longer than everyone wants. So he's got to give him a bit of time. And I know you're at a big club like Liverpool and you don't have that time sometimes, but I think even with Isak, he's come in. He hasn't had a long pre-season. He's been out of the training when he was at Newcastle, sort of waiting for the transfer to come, and now he's had a bit of a niggle as well. And they're sort of saying that the pre-season wasn't great for him. So there's a lot of things that are contributing to Liverpool not doing well, but I mean, that's up to Arne Slot to get him going again. They've got it's only start of the season, but a lot of worrying signs at the moment.
Yeah, going to be difficult for them to compete for a premiership or a champion. Well, to become the winners of the Premier League. I'll go to that little bit of lingo there rather than sticking to the Australianisms. The two Manchester United midfielders who both performed admirably. My criticism of Ruben Amorim's system is being proved wrong week on week as Casemiro and Fernandes both find themselves in the most traded in players list this weekend. Casemiro, obviously the value at 5.8, has not had a great scoring start to the season, but getting the goal obviously makes him attractive to some going into this little run. And Fernandes now at 9.4 mil and still with a fairly positive break even where he's that's the biggest thing for me, is he's probably going to drop more value before he reaches the floor there. Manchester United, we've spoken a bit about them with Mbeumo. The system, it's starting to bear fruit, which has been the big frustration of United fans. Obviously, I was frustrated Mason Mount didn't start, but that new look front three looked very, very good. And these two at the base of it seem to be figuring out what their role is as the experienced leaders in the heart of midfield. Who would have thought, being the captain and the guy who'd been winning Champions Leagues at Real Madrid, that would be what it was expected of them. But it's starting to happen slowly now through the heart of United's midfield.
Yeah, I think it's probably 6 to 12 months ago when I think it was Jamie Carragher or someone that was telling Casemiro to take the Saudi.
Leave football before football leaves you.
Yeah, take the Saudi deal.
For people who don't know, that's where the meme came from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think those experienced guys will be quite happy with how the last month's gone, but they know how quickly it can change. So. Yeah, it's a big few games for Man United to sort of stay around that top 4 area where they want to be, and it's got a big reason why, I think, is Mbeumo and these new guys sort of hitting their straps a little bit and helping these guys that have been there for a few years and sort of had to struggle with the media scrutiny, and it's up to them to change it, but it was very interesting to see, the winner against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago from big what's his
Harry
name?
Maguire.
Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
He's copped a lot of shit over the years, which is being a defender and footballer myself.
You can relate, right?
You feel bad for him, from the memes and all that. Sort of see what he's gone through, and moments like that sort of I'm definitely sure he enjoyed scoring the winner at Liverpool. A lot of positive things for Me United at the moment.
And very good of you to say that as well.
Yeah,
as a Liverpool fan.
It's hard.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We note that Casemiro is one of those that people are trading. He's still only owned by 0.5 or so as we sit here on this Wednesday afternoon. So, be interested to see how things unfurl there. Fernandes, would you be warding anyone off, bringing him back in, or, thinking about moving for him again? Because, the results are, the proof is in the pudding, and he's continuing to score. The underlying stats have been consistently good over the entirety of the season.
Yeah, I can understand why people would bring him in. I'm someone that's looking to bring him in. I know you've transferred him out.
I've moved him out. I'm against, but
yeah, I think he's always amongst the Man United the way they play. That he's getting a lot of touches of the ball, and he sees a lot of passes that other players don't as well. So you can get those assists, or maybe not always goals, but unless he's taking the penalties still as well. So that's another way of points coming in.
I think there's 2 ways you can look at it, and the first is that he's got a front line now that looks like it's finding form, and it's going to be able to finish off some of the chances that he's been providing, right? Because the key passes, the crosses, all that sort of stuff has been there for him across the entirety of the season. The other way you can view it is that the responsibility is going to be lifted from his shoulders. He is more of an out-and-out holding midfielder rather than the attacking player that we've seen basically for the entirety of his time at Manchester United. I do wonder how much Mbeumo is going to take confidence from that performance on the weekend and start moving more and more centrally and actually claiming some of that ball that Fernandes has for so long owned in the middle of Manchester United's midfield. So that's something I'll be watching really closely over the weekend. I think the Forest game is a terrific place to try and get that, because they're going to be seeing the ball in attacking areas a lot against a set defence, a Sean Dyche defence away from home. And just how they go about breaking down that is going to be, I think, evidence of how the rest of the season looks for them and the relative value of both the players from a Supercoach perspective. So keep an eye on that one. If you are up Sunday morning, 1 a.m., make sure you're got your eyes on those two and just the role they're playing. We'll break that down. We'll try and have a little bit of a breakdown for you next weekend. The final one to talk about, Eberechi Eze gets off the mark for Arsenal, funnily enough, against Palace. Maybe that was always written in the stars. 8.7 mil. I think if you're going to move for him, this is it. moving into the heart of midfield, we talked about basically the trade between he and Odegaard that was so obvious a few weeks ago. Is that crossing your mind whatsoever? You've talked about bringing Fernandes in. I would urge you, Eze might be the stronger option, depending on what happens this weekend, of course, as well.
Yeah, and you see the games they got coming up as well. There's especially the next two. I know,
straightforward run.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned before that the promoted teams have been doing well, but I mean, you can see Arsenal's quality and yeah, I mean, he's scored a nice goal on the weekend, a bit of a scissor against his old club as well. So he'll take some confidence from that and a decent price where you can see him rising in the next few weeks if you can keep that form coming. So someone definitely that I'm thinking about as well.
Burnley away, Sunderland away, Spurs at home, Chelsea away. Few trips in there, but I think Arsenal, their style of football at the moment is suited to that.
Yep.
And whilst it might not be the most entertaining to watch, it's brutally effective. Let's have a quick peek at the most rated out players. Tierney Reinders, we've talked about. Is this the week for you without giving them away yet, Matty?
It's a big chance. He's going to be leaving my team. -1.
What a disappointment, man, because the first week he just looked every bit a Manchester City player, running with the ball, providing for Haaland. It just it smacked of a combination that was going to work long term. Now he's sitting there at 6.6 mil. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people comparing him to
De Bruyne. I made the comparison on the first episode we did because it looked that good. Yeah, and it just hasn't been since.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what's happened. He actually hit the ground running. As a new player coming in, which is it's not always what you see from new players. But yeah, I don't know. The last few games he's been coming off as well, and I think for me he's a trade out. But last time I traded someone out, he got 37. So be wary.
We can't sit. We're not going to hold that against you whatsoever. Talking about the amount of people that did that over the weekend. They've got a League Cup game tomorrow morning as we're recording this on Wednesday against Swansea. So just keep an eye on that. I think that'll be a heavily rotated side. And if you're Tierney Reinders and you're playing in that game, I would suggest that's a little bit of a worry. You still keen on Phil Foden? We had a quick chat about him a couple of weeks ago. I think he's set to see a lot more playing time now that Reinders is dropping out of that team.
Yeah, I think Foden's a good shout. He's
8 mil is the cost at the moment.
8 mil, so he's around the same as Eze. Obviously, Eze scored on the weekend. People probably moving towards him more, but I mean,
if you're keener on City for some reason. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, they're always fixture proof. Whoever they're playing against, but yeah, obviously they've got a bit of a tough run on paper at the moment. But Man City's Man City. You sort of they can beat anyone on their day. So Foden's a good shout, similar to Eze. Just depends who you think's going to go bigger in these next few games. But Foden's been looking good.
Can I give you his underlying stats from the weekend?
Tell me.
Against that well-set defence, 4 key passes, 3 accurate crosses. He's had, where most of these, if you're looking at, you're getting 1 or 2 of them a weekend, that's really good. A successful dribble. A tackle in there as well. He's doing well. And the silent killer of dispossessions, he's sort of had -1. He's given away 4 points there all season. He is another one. I spoke about Guimaraes and sort of the underlying stats that I thought were set to explode and the style of football. Sorry, not the style of football, but the way he was being used in Newcastle's formation as really their main creative outlet. There are signs Phil Foden is going down that same route for Manchester City. And I know people will be scared off by the result against Villa and completely understand that. But when you look at Bournemouth coming to visit the Etihad, Liverpool, who are short of their best and don't have a great record at Manchester City, and then you're going Newcastle, who've been hit or miss, and then Leeds visiting as well. I've talked to you about Eze. I think Foden now is the time as well. I think there'll be a few more moving on him over the next couple of weeks if he can hold his spot in that side, and there's been nothing in his performances to suggest that he won't.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at trading out Reinders, for example, he's only a couple of 1.5 almost to upgrade. So I'd rather have Phil Foden in my team than Reinders at the moment.
Yes.
And if anyone can make that trade, I can understand why, and you can sort of just have him there. And I think he's going to have some goals and assists regardless of who they're playing. He's always, like you said, the stats don't lie, and he's up there with them at the moment. So that's someone that I would rather have in my team than Reinders at the moment.
Yeah. To urge caution on a couple of others that are in this most traded out list, Antoine Semenyo, unless you are killer about the player you're bringing in for him, wouldn't be discouraged by a couple of poor performances given what he's produced this season. Mohamed Kudus, again, we had that article from Harry West a couple of weeks ago talking about the base stats of players. Kudus was one right up there. Like, his hard-running style lends himself to being involved with a couple of the defensive actions as well as a forward, which isn't particularly normal. The fact that Tottenham strikers continue to really fall out of favour is a bit of a worry, I will say that. But, I just urge again, there aren't that many forwards for 9.1 mil that you're bringing in and really making a lot of cash out of and that are going to outscore him given what he's done early in the season. Anton Start, I've talked about the promoted sides. I think he's still one that can produce at 7.8 mil. He's not one who's going to be losing a heap more value, even if his break-even this week isn't particularly favourable. Moises Caicedo, similar argument. His output for Chelsea, it will continue to, he's averaging around that 10-point mark at the moment this season. There are not too many better midfielders in the game. And Jean-Paul Van Hecker, who plenty, as I did, traded in for the price bump. That one is one I can give you a little more leeway on if you are making that look at the moment. Right, let's have a look at some of the players coming back in and moving out. Liam Delap is an interesting one. He's eyeing a return from a hamstring injury midweek in the Carabao Cup and could be an in against Tottenham. That's going to affect Joao Pedro owners, of which I am one. And so he's in my sights when we get down to trades this week. So just keep an eye there. Alexander Isak, 50-50 for last week's game that he's missed. I think he'll return against Villa on the weekend. Manchester United, Harry Maguire was rested after scoring that winner against Liverpool on the weekend, expected to come back in. He's not a highly owned player, but just running through these. Smith Rowe, we've talked about. Josh King owners, I'll be saying hang on just for a couple more weeks. I know he's not a big scorer, but I think he's set to make a little bit of cash, which he hasn't done yet this season. If you persisted with him this far, persist with him a little longer.
He was robbed.
He was robbed.
Yeah,
he was. That Chelsea game. Yeah, that Chelsea game.
His price would be completely different maybe right now.
He would be.
Maybe his form would be, his confidence would be different.
Yeah. There is a player. There is a player. We've talked about it. There is a player in there.
Yeah, he's gonna score big 1 week, and I don't mind Fulham's games coming up.
Yeah, they've had a tricky little run. So let's hope that corrects this week. Ryan Gravenberch missed last weekend's game with an ankle injury, so plenty have traded out. Chance to return this weekend. I think that's unlikely, to be honest, against Aston Villa. Declan Rice, a little bit of a worry with a calf Achilles in the first half against Palace. He was subbed. Good chance to play this week, according to Mikel Arteta and his press this week. Missed the Carabao Cup, but I'm expecting him to be back. And William Saliba is a 50-50 to play this week for Arsenal, which affects me as well, unfortunately. I think he'll be sitting on my bench this week just with that knowledge in hand. Right, Matty, let's get down to crunch time. Trade plans this week. Who's in your sights?
All right, I'm gonna have to rejig my midfield.
Right,
because it's.
I did it last week. Feel free.
It's not working.
Off you go
for me. I'm looking at 2 players at the moment. Reinders out.
Yes.
And what's the guy's name? Sorry, the Burnley guy. What's his name?
Ugo Chunkwu.
Yes,
that's the guy we're looking at.
That's the one.
So he was a one in, one out. Wowee. Okay.
Yep. I'm looking at Foden and Jacob Murphy.
Yes.
From, Newcastle.
Okay. Yeah. I don't mind that as a shout. Talk me through that.
I just saw the highlights from last game that he played, and he scored one, but definitely could have scored another one. He had a one-on-one with the keeper, and I think he saved it, the keeper. But for me, he looks like he's in good form. They're playing against West Ham and Brentford in the next 2 games, and obviously Man City after that. But he looks like he's hungry for more goals, and hopefully your man Bruno can put him in for a few cheeky assists.
That's what we're looking for. Just him to hit his straps at the right time of the year. Gee, this is going to sound completely crazy. I'm so tempted to bring in Matt Sutter again. Every time he comes off the bench for Spurs, he looks a threat. I cannot understand how Thomas Frank is keeping him out of the side at the moment. I can't do it until he comes back in. But once that happens, look out to Nico Gonzalez. And at the moment, I've got there Mason Mount as well. I think that could be a double trade that's coming just to knock him up. But if the price drops a little bit more, that'd be advantageous to me. I'm actually looking at no trades this week. I want to see what happens with Joao Pedro. I'm still happy enough with Haaland and Salah there. Salah coming off a goal. I'm hopeful that'll just correct a bit of the form drop. The other place I could potentially make a move is Van Hecke, who we talked about in a defensive sense. And in that case, I'd probably be going to someone like an Estev at 4 mil. I can go quite a bit higher than that. So the other options that are sort of tickling my fancy around that 7.8, 7.9 mil mark, Dan Ballard, Virgil van Dijk is now down at 6.3 mil, which at the start of the year would have seemed absolutely remarkable. But given the fact that Liverpool are shipping goals for fun, that doesn't particularly strike me as favourable at the moment. And because of that, I'm confident enough with Brighton. They've got Leeds coming this week. I don't think there's going to be any particular drop in value. Van Hecke's break even, sitting at around an 8. If they can keep a clean sheet there, that'll be covered nice and easy. And we won't be losing too much value there. So I'm going to be holding there. Maxim de Kuyper's been another one that plenty have moved to trade out. He's been starting as a left winger for them, playing in the attacking third of the pitch. So another one that I can't find it within my heart to move. And I've gone 2 trades, 3 trades, 2 trades the last 3 weeks. Might just be time to put the queue in the rack and sit there for a week. What's taking your fancy, Matty, in terms of captaincy ahead of game week 10? We've got a chance to have a double shot with Harry Tyra playing the Monday morning kickoff against Sunderland for Everton.
Yeah, just quickly on what you were saying about Brighton players as well. Minter is one that I'm looking at bringing in. If I don't bring in Foden, I'll bring maybe him in. So, but yeah, just on that. And in terms of captaincy and vice captains, looking at a vice captain on Saka.
Yes.
And I'll probably keep it on Haaland for another big point score, hopefully.
Yes.
He needs he could have scored last week. He had a 1-on-1 and the goal that was disallowed. So, it's not like he wasn't close to scoring. So, I think I'll just keep it on him, pretty safe at the moment, and see what Saka does. Yeah,
and that's the big thing. So City have got that Monday morning kickoff against Bournemouth. Sorry, Tyra is playing on Tuesday morning against Sunderland. Yep. So you've got all the time in the world to fix that up. I think I'm going to... Newcastle playing the 1 o'clock kickoff against West Ham. Gee, I would love to have given the double shot to Bruno Guimaraes, given the performance he put in last week, given how dreadful West Ham have been and how against them the fans are at the moment. That's just a shocking turn of fortune that they've got the early Monday morning kickoff ahead of that game. So it'll probably be Declan Rice, to be honest, that I hand that to against Burnley. The brute force, all that sort of stuff. Maybe Arsenal doesn't line up particularly well against him. Other than that, I'm looking at a Willy Saliba, who we're not 100% sure will start. Hartman's going to Aston Villa, and just no confidence in Salah or Pedro. That would be the other option, would be Mohamed Salah against Villa.
He's got to score big sometime. You think that, but...
He gets the goal last week. That should be the performance where he scores big, right?
I agree. But
particularly the opportunities he had in that game.
Salah
last week. Salah last year. I'm ready to say that Salah last year might well have had a hat trick in that game with the opportunities to take players on he had on the weekend.
Yeah, he's getting in those areas still, and he's getting the ball in those areas.
They're providing him.
That's
a worry.
Yeah, it's just a worry. Yeah, I don't know. I'd stay away from from him. But in saying that, he could like pull a hat trick out of nowhere. So he's the type of player that's he just comes to form out of nowhere.
Declan Rice, bang in 2 free kicks, one with either foot, and that'll do me nicely. And he's also taken the corners as well. So, how many goals Arsenal score from those situations? He can take my vice captaincy. We're niggling over semantics to finish the podcast. But, Matty, with my victory over you, I'm happy to walk off into the sunset and say hello to you again in about 10 rounds' time. Mate, thank you very much for your company this afternoon. Go well over the weekend. And to you as well for listening, watching, whatever you're engaging with us via. My article going up over the weekend on the SC Playbook website as well. Harry West, Steve Nikolovsky back with their take on the week that's been. So head to scplaybook.com.au, pay that $2, get all the good stuff. Hope you're enjoying the NBA. Make sure you check out that podcast as well with Alex Sumsky and Spy, going brilliantly. Had a listen last few weeks. It's been thoroughly entertaining. But for now, from the EPL side of the SC Playbook team, it's goodbye.